After testing Himi paint, Holbein, Horadam and Daniel Smith, now it's time for Mijello Titanium Class Mission Gouache. Could I find a longer name maybe? We'll see opacity, layering, color mixing, painting, and everything went fine until... What? No! Oh no! Here are the colors I bought because now you can buy individual tubes because I don't like sets. So I have a primary palette with the true primary colors, lemon yellow, quinacridone, permanent magenta and turquoise blue because they didn't have any cobalt blue. Then I have a warm primary palette, permanent yellow, deep vermilion and ultramarine cerulean blue, which looks to me like ultramarine blue. So I placed it in the warm palette, and some convenient colors, of course white, because you need white, and it says titanium white opaque. And then I have really convenient colors, burnt sienna, indigo, Van Dyke brown and yellow ochre. These are the colors I use a lot, especially in my portraits, and I could mix them from the primary, but I think it's more convenient to have them. And you will notice I don't have black, because who needs black when you can mix those two and get black? So first thing I want to do is make a swatch. So squeezing some primary colors, just want to see how it feels. I have a droplet of binder, which is annoying. It's not a problem, it's just the binder that's separating from the paint. I hope they all don't do that. So okay, pink is fine, and turquoise blue is fine as well, and some white. You always need to squeeze more white than the other colors. I have this sketchbook which is meant for tries, errors and palettes, and it's pretty much done. Let's go to the last page, and what I want to do is make a kind of a chromatic wheel, but very loose, and for that I have a method that works fine for me, so I hope it will for you too. I will get 6 brushes. I love flat brushes, so this is what I use, but you're welcome to use round brush if you prefer. I make a roll with my kneadable eraser, and then I place it on the table and I put my brushes in there so they don't roll everywhere and I don't have the paint going everywhere. Let's take one and mix this yellow with the binder because it's really... Alright, it's doing fine. And I'm doing my first color. Then I grab another brush, clean brush, and I make a triangle. I place the magenta here. Another brush. So I don't contaminate my brushes with the next color, like that. And I make the third primary color. And now I want to make mixes between them and fill maybe 3 colors between each. So grab another brush and we'll go for oranges. And oranges, I have to get pink inside of the yellow and see how powerful this is. I think this will go in the middle. Grab more pink and make this one. Now let's make some purple. Just a tiny bit of pink to make it a bit darker, and more pink. That makes a nice purple. Last one will be blue into yellow. And that makes a nice spring green. And now for the missing colors, I will take the primary one. So the brush with the yellow, just a hint, a subtle hint of pink. And let's add a bit of white to see how it behaves. Very nice. Of course, as the white is very, very opaque, it gives more opacity to my paint. And talking about opacity, I think it's time to test it. Making a black line with a Posca marker. So let's take what I have left on my brushes. It really depends on the thickness of your paint and how many layers you are applying, but I think this is very opaque. And I'm using the paint at the creamy consistency. Red is a bit more transparent. Now let's test that with a watercolor consistency, because they claim that this paint is a hybrid between gouache and watercolor. And that seems so strange to me, because I always claim that gouache is not opaque watercolor, and now they are telling me that this paint is a mix of gouache and watercolor. Let's find out. I want to use the paint as a watercolor background, so I use it very, very liquid, and I mean it is really almost like watercolor. What I want to see is if the pigments is moving nicely here and there, and if I get something even. Once it's dry, it gives a nice cauliflower effect, blooming effect. I love that. Now I go with a slightly thicker paint. This is a mix of pink and white, and as the white is very opaque, it's really layering well on top of the background. I think it's nice. Talking about layering, yes, you can paint on top of an existing layer, and it's not really disturbing the paint under. Maybe this is because I am used to it and I know the consistency to use, but this is working really fine. So what are my conclusions? The first thing I deeply regret, maybe it's my fault, I don't know. There is no real primary blue. And what I mean it is, if I take the Holbein range, I have this one which is called primary cyan. And if you look at the pigment number, this one is PB15. And what I took was two different blues. This one was called cerulean, and I thought it would be close to this one, but it's PB15-3. And this one is actually that, which is more ultramarine blue to me. It's absolutely not cerulean, so that's a big disappointment. And this turquoise is nice, but it has a bit of yellow inside, because it has PB15-3, but also PG36, which is a pigment green. And if I compare to my Holbein chart, this is the primary blue. So this is giving very bright greens and very vivid purples, compared to this turquoise that's giving more muted colors, because it has already a bit of green inside, so it is a bit of yellow. So actually this is a third color, it's not a second color, it's a tertiary color. This is why it's a bit more muted. Not that I don't like it, but it's not an actual true primary blue. So if you are a purist, like I can be, this is an issue. Regarding the yellows are exactly the same, primary, same number for the pigment. And look at this yellow, it's the same than this one, no worries. And for the magenta, this one is PR122 and this one is also PR122. And if you look at it, looks a bit darker than this one. Slightly, but still a bit darker. Regarding the opacity, Holbein is opaque in the dark colors and not in the light ones. That makes sense. Yeah, as suspected, yellow is not opaque. And this is my second disappointment with this brand, is they don't have any opacity symbol on the paint. Unlike Holbein, which has this little circle here, it's cut in two, that means transparent. And this one is meant to be half opaque. So I know where I am going with those tubes. Good point for the Mijello one. They have the light fast stars on the background, on the back, sorry. So this is 4 stars. Not completely light fast. This is 5 stars. Very light fast. And the pink is 5 stars, which is very good. They do have this on Holbein as well. Do they? Yes, I guess they have it. Yeah, it's 3 stars. 3 being the maximum for them and 5 being their max. It works very well when you use it as watercolor. It's highly pigmented. It's also making this bloom effect that I like with watercolor. It's blending very well. You can layer very easily. It doesn't reactivate the layer under. So we have a lot of good points, a lot of pros for this gouache. I didn't try it before because I couldn't find it in France, but now my favorite supplier has it, and especially they have it by individual tubes because I don't want to buy a 24 sets of colors. I don't need all the colors inside because I know how to mix colors. You should too. So pretty, very good gouache, except for what I said before. And it really depends on the price. You can have it in your country. Next week, I will test the paint with a portrait and things are not going the way I planned. What? No. No. Oh no! You can watch the video here when it's available.